In a non-dual universe where the self is one, how do we understand the role of free will?
Free will. It doesn't exist. Only the free have free will. As long as we are bound by the mind and the parameters of the mind, you don't have actually a free will. Benjamin Libet, he hooked up, subjects to EEG scans and made them make choices and studied the brain activity while they were making a choice. The subject who was doing the experiment, he thought he was instantly making a choice, but his brain EEG showed there was a flurry of brain activity 550 milliseconds before he pressed the switch. Sometimes suffering is a blessing in disguise, but we don't realize it at that moment. The yogic word dhyan comes from the dhyayi dhatu, which means you are now riveted on the object of meditation. And if that riveting goes beyond a certain time limit, beyond 144 seconds, you will go into samadhi. Siddhis can come into the spiritual life if one's mind is very concentrated, very focused. In fact, most yogis get some form of siddhi.
From a Vedantic viewpoint, is there ever a possibility of AI becoming conscious?
We create our reality. There's no reality out there. My equipment is contributing to my perceptions. There is only one consciousness manifesting through so many bodies and minds.
Mataji, in the context of samskaras or psychic impressions from many lifetimes, how do these subconscious patterns influence our present behavior? And how can practices like meditation help dissolve them?
Exactly. Very beautiful. I just enjoy your questions, Aryan.
Thank you so much.
See, this is where psychology has to throw more light. Modern psychology is only mainly studying behaviorism. Today they have come to the cognitive sciences. There's something called contemplative psychology also. See, just like how positive psychology is there since about 25 years, there is something called contemplative psychology also coming up. This is the study of how exactly mind functions and contributes to your happiness. Where is the place of awareness? What is the definition of attention? All this is actually what I'm teaching at various universities. So you see how exactly you are going to study what exactly is a sanskar. Sanskar is a deep-rooted mental impression which is affecting your behavior and your cognitions, your entire thought process. So behavior, you see, is only the end result. Before that, many things have happened. You have thought about it in conscious and subconscious ways, and the sanskar in your subconscious has actually sprouted into memory and guided your behavior. And what causes a sanskar? It is the repetition of conscious thought. In yoga psychology, we say the repetition of a vritti creates a sanskar. So whatever you think intensely and repeatedly, or feel, or imagine, or do, that is now going to create a deep-rooted mental impression which is going to affect your future behavior. So now where do these impressions remain? They don't remain in your conscious mind. They go down, seep into the subconscious. Now you forget them, that they are there. But tomorrow, when you are at the point of making a decision, or you are at the point of, asking existential questions, meditating, doing anything serious, these subconscious sanskars are going to sprout back into your conscious mind. That time you may call them, memory of something, or how did this thought come to my mind? It's nothing but the sprouting of a subconscious sanskar. That deep-rooted mental impression is now coming back into the conscious mind, and your decisions are made according to that. So sanskars become very important. That is why, all of Indian culture and philosophy insisted on the creation of the right sanskars. That is the groundwork, they would say, the foundation for a great life. Because if the right sanskars are there, the right building blocks for a great character are already there. And if sanskars are not there, you are left only to the present conscious thought process. You see, that itself is being affected by so many factors around you. There are so many influencers in your life. Isn't it? So you will go according to the mean of the company you keep. Yes, but if you have the strong sanskar within yourself, you will move in a particular direction no matter what is happening around. It's a way of getting independent, creating the right sanskars in childhood and building on them as you grow in life. It is a way of becoming independent of circumstance and people around you and, moving towards your great goals in life. It'll give you a really successful life.
Yeah. A very successful life and a very balanced
and fulfilling life.
Fulfilling life.
Right.
Yes. Before I move on to my next question, I just wanted to have a follow-up question because we were talking about meditation and our audience really, really is serious about that. When someone is doing meditation, they often come at a point where a lot of those thoughts are coming in. And in some meditation practices, they say, I won't name which one specifically, but some have said that is a process of the release of that stress, that even when the thoughts are coming while you're working on your mantra, that is a release. Is that true according to Vedanta?
Release of our emotions should not happen during the meditation process.
Okay.
It can happen before the meditation or after your meditation. When you are using a technique, it requires that you completely concentrate on that sadhana at that moment. Otherwise, your mind will take you for a ride.
Exactly.
Once you start releasing your emotions during the process of your meditation, what will happen is you get tangentially deflected from the process. Because suddenly the anger now has come into your mind or some sorrow has come into your mind. Now you get involved, why it happened, due to that person, due to this, due to that. And so I'll teach him a lesson. You lose your mind that way. You can't concentrate on the process. So at the time of meditation, just concentrate on the technique, the sadhana. And the release of our subconscious forces should happen before the meditative process or after the meditative process. And how you can do this is you keep aside a time for, reading and reflection and even contemplation. But meditation goes far above all these.
Yes.
Right? Dhyan. The yogic word dhyan comes from the dhyai dhatu, which means you are now riveted on the object of meditation. And if that riveting goes beyond a certain time limit, beyond 144 seconds, you will go into samadhi. So it's a very elevated state, real meditation. It is. You should remember the penultimate step of Ashtanga Yoga, where the process must remain unbroken. So you can't allow release of subconscious forces during the process.
Yeah. And you mentioned this in your video as well, that when you get initiated by a guru, that there's a big power in that. I feel many people take it for granted sometimes. Could you elaborate a little bit on that why initiation is such a big deal?
Yes. The only one who has come in close contact with a really luminous soul will understand the power of the sattvic mind to influence another mind. It is an actual power, I'm telling you. The concept of Shaktipat is very, very clear in Kashmiri Shaivism. Shaktipat means a powerful mind can transmit power into a mind which is not yet that powerful. It's a transmission of power. This is what the guru does. This is what happens during initiation. See, when they are giving you a mantra, they are giving their sadhana shakti.
Wow.
And that is why only certain persons are authorized to become gurus. Yes, and that seniority has to be there, which means whole lifetime has been dedicated to spiritual practice. Now, that powerful mantra given through an illumined guru will work miracles for you. But this will not happen if you have picked up the mantra from somewhere. No, there are people doing that also.
Yeah.
These things have to be taken very seriously. And you must understand the power of the super sattvic transcendental mind. There's a beautiful incident which I can tell you here. You see, in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, he used to once, Rakhal Maharaj. I don't know if you've heard of his name. He was like the spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna. He was a young man at that time. He entered his room and Sri Ramakrishna was kind of resting on his bedstead. And he told Rakhal, please press my feet, massage my feet. And Rakhal was very close to Sri Ramakrishna. Very close. He actually was like his child. So he refused. He didn't want to do it. He was reluctant. And Thakur said, do it, do it. There's a tangible effect in serving a holy man. And then he sat down on his cot and started massaging his feet. Immediately he had a spiritual experience. He saw light in the room. And he saw Mother Kali of Dakshineshwar Kali temple. That same Mother Kali in the form of a young girl, 6-7 years old, encircling that bed with a smiling face. And she went around 3 times and merged in Sri Ramakrishna's body. And this experience sent such a thrill through his system, he almost collapsed out of divine emotion. And he sort of fell at Thakur's feet. And Sri Ramakrishna was smiling and he said, you see the tangible effect of serving a holy man? They actually transmit power. It is tangible.
Yeah.
It is palpable. So you must come in proximity to such a soul to understand this. It's the easiest way to grow in spiritual life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That also leads me to my next question, which is in regards to siddhis and mystical powers. A lot of people are concerned about this, but sometimes not only for the right reasons, but they also are for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important to clarify for the audience, that people think that the goal is siddhis, the goal is mystical powers, and they get stuck on that trap. I would love if you can elaborate on that and also mention if these experiences, are they real, and do they serve as obstacles or do they support on the path to self-realization?
Siddhis are always obstacles. Siddhis can come into the spiritual life if one's mind is very concentrated, very focused. In fact, most yogis get some form of siddhi. But they can also get, deflected by that siddhi if they don't have the sanskars for the highest experiences. Usually in spiritual life, you see, realization happens instantly, but that achievement, coming to that achievement, requires deep introversion of mind, and for that you have to work for many years, maybe across lifetimes. Although realization is instantaneous, the work required to go towards that, to attain that, requires a long time. So in that period, siddhis can come. So unless one is very firm about it, that I don't want anything other than this, which means a desireless mind, a pure mind. Unless one has cultivated that, siddhis can be very huge obstacles in spiritual life. In fact, I want everyone to know this. You must never gauge spiritual life through siddhis. Rather, you should gauge it through character, through purity. Who is a holy man? One who actually radiates purity. His very presence makes you feel good. Yeah.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. It's something that I really believe needs to be touched upon, because in this realm of spirituality, it's just such a strong topic that people get confused upon. Mataji, in a non-dual universe where the self is one, how do we understand the role of free will? Is there any room for individual choice, or is everything predetermined?
So, when it comes to understanding free will, I'll give you a practical way of looking at it. Assume you have free will, so that you're conscious of your actions, and you're not doing actions by impulse, by force, or something driving you to do it. You're doing them consciously, do them right, and think well before you do them. Assume you have a free will. Because for most people, you see, phenomenologically speaking, you feel you have a free will. But actually speaking, when you look deeply into it, you'll see that many, many factors affect our so-called instant choices. Many, many factors. In fact, I don't know if you've heard of Benjamin Libet.
I've heard. Yeah.
His experiments on free will. So he hooked up, subjects to EEG scans and made them make choices and studied the brain activity while they were making a choice. So the choice appeared to be instantaneous. For the person who was the subject who was doing the experiment, he thought he was instantly making a choice between, like, as simple as pressing a blue switch and leaving out the red switch. He thought instantly he decided and he pressed the switch. But his brain EEG showed there was a flurry of brain activity 550 milliseconds before he pressed the switch.
Wow.
Which means you are kind of led to a choice. There's a lot of activity, your brain shows it. And going on, so what is this activity? What is exactly happening in our mind? Now, you see, the wonderful thing about this is, I read in one of the commentaries on the Patanjali Yoga Sutras that when you perform an action, where exactly is the karma phal, the karmashaya it is called in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, where is it stored? And the commentary says it is stored in the buddhi and it is going to affect the future decisions of that person. So you see, there are many things which we carry in our memory and in our minds. And the fact that the brain is showing a lot of activity almost 0.5 seconds before the decision is being made shows that many forces are kicking in at that moment and making you make the decision. But you feel, phenomenologically, you feel that instantly I took the decision without thinking anything.
No.
See, things happen even before a thought can happen. So there are very many subtle forces which are responsible. So you see, finally, if you ask me, what is the truth? It is a deterministic universe. Determinism is the truth. You know, I like it very much the way Arthur Schopenhauer put it. He used to say, a man is free to do what he wills. He is not free to will what he wills. This is the actual truth. Our will is bound. Vivekananda has pointed it, he used to say it's an oxymoron, free will. It doesn't exist. Only the free have free will. Until then, as long as we are bound by the mind and the parameters of the mind and the matrix of the mind, you don't have actually a free will. A whole lot of things are affecting even what you're calling your instant choices and, whatever you are doing, many factors are involved. But to see this, you must be close to a state like samadhi, where mental activity has been suspended to such an extent, you are able to see things absolutely clearly, even without a thought process. High-level intuition will reveal that free will is not there. But the free have free will, which means to say, you can work towards progressively freeing your will from compulsive drives, from our instinctual life, from our habits of thought, from our negative emotions. You can work towards freeing your will from all this. You can progressively free your will through sadhana. And at some point, you see those who are liberated, they really have free will. But not we. For us to say it just now, but see, this does not also mean that you say, oh, well, the will is anyway bound, then what's the point of doing anything at all? I'm only being led to do. That's not the point we are trying to make. You must function like, and you must assume you have a free will so that you make the right conscious choices after proper deliberation, but understand that the will is bound, causally bound. And that is why sadhana, that is why a good, clean life, so that the will goes on becoming progressively free. One day you will see exactly what you will happen.
I'm so happy that you mentioned that, and like you were mentioning, it's very important that you don't disregard morality and the moral aspect of life. Your decision making is that only because you realize that in this state we don't have free will. That doesn't mean that doing good isn't still important. That making your decisions in a moral way and in the right aspect is not important.
Right.
You mentioned liberation. Enlightenment is just such a large topic in the spirituality. Everybody here and there, due to social media and it's spreading, has a different viewpoint on what true enlightenment is. I would love if you can elaborate on that. The desire for liberation, like I said, it's essential for awakening. How can we cultivate intense yearning to help break through ignorance and this delusion to attain that state?
That's a very good question. How do I get that yearning which results in liberation? Because Sri Ramakrishna used to say yearning is the whole point. If you have that yearning for God realization, you will get it. If you don't have the yearning, you are not going to get it. Your own mind will not support your effort. Hmm? So, how do we get that yearning is, see, it is only when the mind unites all its forces that it becomes a very powerful, like a dynamo, full of energy, and with one single intent. So, to be able to do this, first of all, you must bring all the forces of your mind together. Many times in our lives, our thoughts go one way, our emotions are driving us in so many ways. Our actions do not tally with our deepest intents. Hmm? All this can happen in life. That is why preliminary, this karma yoga and all this, what does it train you towards? It trains your will.
Yes.
There's a unified will, only one purpose in life. Life is about one thing only. And everything else is a means towards that. Unless you manufacture this kind of a will and a pointed mind like this, you will not even understand what your bondage is. If you don't understand your bondage, you won't ask for liberation. Most people understand nothing by mukti, I'm telling you.
Yes.
They have some hazy concept. They have heard that it's a good thing to aim at that. But what exactly it is, unless you feel the pathos of your bondage, the compulsiveness and, misery of your mind, even when it has everything, and this, what is called existential sorrow, which means the very nature of manifest existence is tinged with sorrow.
Yeah.
Because it is not linked when it is not linked to the source. This feeling this intensely will give you the yearning, the actual power to dive deep into real sadhana or inquiry and attain liberation.
Yeah.
So great maturity of mind, born of many lifetimes of experience and struggle and understanding, will bring you to this. That is why all this is described in various ways in our scriptures. It is the engine which will take you to your final liberation, yearning. So see if you have that. Even a kind of deep yearning for, you may not understand what mukti means, what exactly that liberation means. But to be able to understand bondage itself is a big thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very well said, Mataji. And I'm so happy you brought upon the aspect that, in the darkest moments, it's important to go through suffering sometimes, because that suffering will allow you to realize that you're bonded, that bondage, and that will help you get that yearning that you need towards liberation.
Sometimes suffering is a blessing in disguise, but we don't realize it at that moment. Yeah.
I totally resonate with that. I wanted to bring upon consciousness. The dialogue on consciousness extends today into questions about technology. I would love to know your thoughts on AI, consciousness, and non-human intelligence. Many people, they speculate whether AI could one day become conscious or even surpass human control to the extent of taking over the world. From a Vedantic viewpoint, is there ever a possibility of AI becoming conscious?
See, first of all, let us try to understand what consciousness means. Pure, flawless, unalloyed awareness is what is called consciousness, because it is conscious by itself. It is not functioning on borrowed awareness, borrowed consciousness. The intrinsic nature of the Atman, we say, is consciousness. It is existence, consciousness, and obviously it is bliss, because the very nature of consciousness is bliss. So the highest equation, if you ask me, is E is equal to C is equal to H. E is existence, C is consciousness, H is happiness. Existence is consciousness is happiness. That's the ultimate equation. Now, this consciousness is present as existence in all things, but may not manifest as consciousness in all things around us. You see, there are what you call inanimate things. They don't appear to have consciousness, but they exist. And not that they are, specially blissful. Not at all. So this very existence, consciousness, bliss, what we call Brahman, manifests in different ways in different objects around us. It is only consciousness that appears as so many objects. See, get this clear. The fundamental idea of Advaita Vedanta is not that consciousness is in everything. That is panpsychism. If you think consciousness is in everything, in plant and animal and object and human being, that is closer to Samkhya than Vedanta.
Yeah.
Advaita Vedanta. It is panpsychism today, what is called. But consciousness is everything is Advaita Vedanta. It is not even that things are appearing in consciousness. Consciousness alone is, the rest is not. Now this standpoint of Ajatvad will make you understand then you see anything around us is only consciousness appearing as that in another form. And because I am laden with this equipment, it is appearing as that particular object. We create our reality. There's no reality out there. My equipment is contributing to my perceptions. If this much we understand, then you see what you are calling artificial intelligence today. What is going to stop it from becoming conscious? Tell me. If consciousness alone is all that there is. And today it is showing a level of intelligence which it's really, you have to marvel at it. It made so many things so easy. And it is showing some of the highest levels of human intelligence, memory, creativity.
Creativity, yeah.
And it's really wonderful what is happening.
It is.
So, if everything is Brahman, even the robot is Brahman, why should we think that it will not be able to imitate human consciousness tomorrow? Keeping all doors open, let us understand this much. But unless, see, everything is Brahman, but unless you have an instrument to reflect that consciousness, unless you have a mind, the human experience will not be there. No. So it may have all that is required for manifesting intelligence, but if the human mind is not there, then we don't really need to fear that much. Exactly. Now, human mind is not there. It is incapable of self-awareness and emotion. Okay, it's only working according to its programming. It doesn't have original thought, original emotion, or self-awareness. AI systems. Right? So then it is not going to come anywhere close to human consciousness. But it will manifest a high level of intelligence and memory. We will see it as a challenge only. Definitely it is going to challenge our jobs. Because job market is full of, the kinds of jobs which may not require the highest level of awareness. They are about intelligence and memory.
Yeah, that's true.
So AI is posing as a huge challenge. If we really cultivated our consciousness and understood the value of the conscious human experience and the human mind, this Vimarsha concept of Kashmiri Shaivism, ability of our mind to reflect consciousness to the highest, like a mirror reflects light. You see, no AI system can do that. Now, this is where the human being is unique. If man invests in cultivating these aspects of his life, AI will pose no challenge to these aspects because it doesn't have a mind to reflect consciousness.
Exactly, yeah.
So these aspects, we will lord over these aspects, I can tell you that. But the ordinary level of intelligence and memory, that definitely today, they are not just challenging, they're taking it over.
They're taking it over.
Yeah. So this will remain, yes.
No, very well said. And I'm so happy that you brought upon that aspect that at the most, it will imitate the consciousness.
Yes.
It won't, because it won't be able to actually be self-aware like human beings are, but it will imitate it. I think that's very important to be understood. So thank you for that.
You must understand the value of Chidabhas, reflected consciousness. See, that's why Vedanta will become very relevant, because total study of consciousness. Pure witness consciousness is what is called Sakshi in Vedanta. Yes? Now that reflects in various ways in everything. It's all only Brahman. But when that consciousness is caught by a reflecting medium and reflects in that medium, you call that medium mind. And that reflected awareness is Chidabhas. Yes, even the fundamental matrix of the mind, time, space and causation, is nothing but a reflection of that consciousness. Now, if mind is not present, this reflected awareness is not there in that. So it cannot function like the human mind at all. And suppose it is totally incapable of reflecting any amount of consciousness, then we call it absolutely jada. Jada means inanimate. So these are the three levels, you can say, of consciousness manifest in this world. So now you see where you can put your AI systems.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, Mataji. To bring this conversation to an end, I would like to ask, what practical advice would you give to our viewers who have reached to this video point, who want to live out the truth of their nature as pure consciousness or non-dual awareness in daily life?
See, this is the most experiential thing possible, non-dual awareness. Your awareness as it is only non-dual. You look deeply into the eyes of anyone or even into the eyes of a baby. You will see yourself reflected there. The light in every eye is your awareness reflecting there. So you see, there is only one consciousness. If you live by this principle, you will become a great human being. Only one consciousness manifesting through so many bodies and minds. This is the fact, this is the experiential fact of every rishi, a well-developed mind which is able to see reality as it is. Will see it like this. So when there is only one substance reflecting through so many media, that then how will I see others? So living a mature life means not just that we love each other. We are one with each other in our very essence, in our very being. So everything that matters to you matters to me. If you live like this, you see, you don't need actually to be taught morality. You will do for another what you will do for yourself automatically. This is the Vedantic understanding. This is what it should bring. Remember this, Advait Jnana should lead to Advait Bhav and not Advaitvad. Not the polemics of Advaita. It should lead to the actual experience of oneness of all creation. One existence shining through so many bodies and minds. Then you will only do what is required for this planet, for its living beings here. You won't have to be taught also about it, you know. You will do it naturally because it's your own being. It's yourself. This is how we should live. This is the vision of Vedanta. This is the goal of human life. Let's see how we can actually bring this into our lives.
Mataji, thank you so much for this beautiful explanation and this very insightful podcast and conversation. It was truly an honor having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.